Hey, it's Friday and it's Vitaly from Codlibri, and in today's video I'm recording this to warn you about the issues caused by WPML plugin for most of WordPress related projects that are harming your, estimates, your timeline, your expectations, your budgets, your SEO issues, everything. Is stuff that agencies should be aware of before promising anything to a client. Because after doing, dozens of these kind of projects, facing these issues, solving them inside of our team, I feel it's important for every agency to understand that setting up multilingual website properly, not just, not a super easy job. It's easy to do it wrong. So just install WPML plugin, you paid for it. The license cost, I guess, 99 US dollars per year for 3 websites. And it's reasonable price, but it's not only pay, install, and use. It's pay, configure properly, and then, of course, use. So there are 11 things on my list that every agency should be aware of when working with WPML plugin. And let's just walk through them one by one. Number one issue is automatic translation. So it's a very commonly used feature. And just to explain how things work, when you install WPML plugin, it basically creates a new language for your website for all of the content. And there are 2 ways you can work with the content, maybe 3. The first one, you do manually a translation for another page. And the second option, you automatically translate that page to another language with DeepL, Google Translate, or other editor. And the thing is that this translation costs you much more than you expect. There is an inside currency called, I think, credits. Yes, you can assign them from your WPML account to any project. And you will definitely use more credits than you expect because every page you translate, it cannot calculate properly sometimes, especially with the custom themes, because there's not maybe some limited support, maybe your developers didn't install some glue plugins, and so on and so on. Maybe there's too much plugins just to estimate, and it's just showing you that, for example, it will take 3,000 credits, and then you get a bill for 50,000 credits. It's sometimes happens, so please be careful with your calculations. Try one test page for translation is the best advice I can tell. So for example, if you are doing translation for a random company website and they have services pages, just translate one page. One full page will give you understanding how much strings and words are there in fact. Then an issue which is maybe one of the easiest is hreflang and locale support. So just specify to developers which hreflang should be used because they set up this as a first point. It's just really starting position for each project. Just select hreflang and the language name, of course, and the locale. So locale is something different from hreflang. I'm sure it will not be an issue for some of people, but last year we worked on a project and we have very similar project today for estimation, which will have different hreflangs and locales, however, the same language. So it will be like English-based content for different regions like UK, USA, maybe Ireland, something like that. And they will have different hreflangs, I think. Yes, I need to double check that, but they should have similar they should have different hreflangs, but similar locales because there is limited amount of locales, but much wider amount of hreflangs. Keep that in mind because we got assigned a task that cannot be solved with a custom code because WPML just filters that, and there is a list of available locales which is supported by Google, and you simply cannot assign anything custom. Then, I'm taking this project in mind, and our task was to create these different kind of languages. If you do a copy of any language to translate the content, I don't know, whatever. When you click copy or duplicate the page at WPML, it will also copy and duplicate the hreflang from a previous language. In order to fix that issue, you need to manually mark that new created page as a unique page, not connected to a translation, and then save it again. In that case, hreflang will be, canonical tag will be updated and it will be unique. Then next point is broken links and 404s. So if the project is big and you are thinking of translating part of the content, and this project was under like huge SEO work, I would say. So there are internal links in the body of content, and these pages are not translated. They will throw a 404 error, or the best is like 301 redirect, which is okay-ish, I guess, but make sure you better translate everything rather than starting to translate like page by page or in milestones, because when SEO team or I don't know what whoever is responsible for SEO in this project start crawling the website, they will end up in a situation where there are a lot of redirects and 404s, which is not good. They will not like approve this change, and your promise to do something in Faces is just not going to happen. Take that into considerations, and let's move to automatic translation of body content. So it's something WPML handles easily, but inside there are links, and if the link is in a just a body content and you're using like a page builder or Gutenberg editor, in 9 out of 10 situations, everything is good. Just in 1 out of 10, there is some issues that should be looked into separately. And what was the issue in one of our projects is that client came with a custom theme with ACF or ACF flexible templates, but it's not an issue. The issue is that links were relative type of links, which, for example, like slash and some page, like slash services. And it was not a type of link field for ACF, it just was a text area. So WPML was not able to track link inside there in this format, and all of the links on all the project with like thousands of pages were leading to wrong versions. The links simply were not translated correctly because, for example, the services page is like services in English, but in Spanish it's have different Spanish translation and different Spanish slug. So it simply doesn't work like that. And make sure that you see the actual backend of a project before you start. Otherwise, you will end up in a situation when you promise something to a client, but it's unrealistic to complete. So I would say that WPML translation projects take much more time for simply checking everything and sometimes doing a lot of manual work in terms of aligning things that are not aligned perfectly if the project is not technically great. Sometimes it's just boom and it works. Yeah, I know, but you should not promise anything based on assumptions that everything is set up correctly, because it's a web development world where nothing is set up correctly because there are time frame limits, budget limits, whatever. Every project starts at a point where technically something should be fixed before you're going forward. Then this month we had a project where some strings were not possible to detect with WPML. So most of themes and plugins output the strings in PHP. Sometimes the plugins or themes have some strings that are in different formats. I believe it was something in JavaScript. So something that renders when a page loads, and WPML was not able to track that string and add that to his library. So it could be translated with you manually or you with automatic translation. It's simply the string that always is shown in the same language, usually English. And in order to fix that, you need either contact a plugin author case, and in that case, it will be something like, can you please do the change? And say, okay, yes, we will make some patch or whatever, and then send it over to you. But if you have a tight deadline, it will simply make your promises to client to deliver something on time unrealistic. And another option is to write some custom JavaScript code that will on the fly translate that. It's a hack. It's a not the best solution, but it works. It works on a lot of projects. So if you need something urgently to be translated that WPML cannot track, simply write a JavaScript code that will check the HTML page hreflang and output the translation of certain strings that cannot be tracked by WPML, but you can track it manually, and specify like what to output depending on different hreflang. It will work. Then issue number 9. It's very specific stuff, but we had a project where client decided to switch or fully remove the main language in order to change it from I think it was from UK to EN or something like that. And there were some phantom issues that were popping up after months when project is live, where some pieces of content are not translated correctly. There is some issue with the database in WPML previous versions. So please make sure to do this step really, really carefully. First of all, make a backup, then try to switch the default language and test all of your pages so all pieces of content are outputted, because in our case, some sections were simply out of the page, and the solution was a lot of manual work just to fix different stuffs and clean the database. Issue number 10. There is a often request, I would say on mostly every project, that, hey, can we do something like detect where is from our visitor and show him the relevant version of relevant translation of our website. For example, if the website visitor is coming from New Zealand and you have New Zealand version of website, it should open in New Zealand. If website visitor is from USA, it should open the USA part. However, the thing is that WPML's default function works this way, that visitor will be constantly redirected to his version of a page. And if something works wrong and IP location detection works not the finest way, it's not super accurate, sometimes your clients get stuck into the wrong version of a website. So make sure that if you do something like that, I would simply go with a custom JavaScript solution where you simply write a snippet and try to detect user's language of a browser or something like that. And then only once you redirect him. So if user decides to switch to a different language, he won't be redirected to his default one. So I don't know, if you have New Zealand and Australian versions of your website pages, it's quite close regions. Or let's say something in Europe like UK and Europe, sometimes you are identified as a UK visitor, and sometimes you're identified as a European visitor, and that's basically it. So this technology will not work super accurately. Make sure your client understands this, and using this feature is not always the best. So sometimes it works really well, and in order to work it really well, there are different services that track your visitors better out and give your developers the access to that. But paying for all of the subscription based services and SaaS is not the solution for every client, so just keep that in mind. And the final thing is that there are sometimes sitemap issues. SEO guys really like sitemaps to be defined in the way they would like them. I know that some plugins configure sitemaps in the way where there are different sitemaps for different languages, or maybe no. That's not true. I know that definitely that in Yoast SEO, all the languages are under the same sitemap. So basically, plugin generates different sitemaps for different post types, like pages, posts, custom post type number 1, custom post type number 2, text, categories, whatever. And under each of that sitemaps, there are different sitemaps, and there will be, for example, if it's pages, there will be pages for all languages you have, and there is no way to filter. At least we were not able to do that when we had similar task from one of our clients to do the different sitemaps for different languages. So just make sure you check that, and also make sure that if you do some custom links and changes to the structure of permalinks in WordPress, you also check the sitemaps, especially with WPML installed, because sometimes sitemap will simply drop some languages from the sitemap. And if you do have the situation, you need to work out the solution, add some extra filters to make sure that all the permalink structure changes are also visible in the sitemaps. So it were 11 points of common SEO issues and multi-language issues caused by any WPML works. So reason to record this video is just to make agency owners aware that one day translations for 300 pages website is unrealistic expectations. Sometimes, if it's pure luck, you will be able to accomplish that, but realistically, when you will make all these changes, it will take you 30 minutes to 1 hour to work at a single sitemap link, I would say. So if your website have 1,000 of pages, well, yeah, most of them could be like a blog post or something that translates really well, but it will take you weeks, if not months or two, to check everything and launch. Because if you're investing in SEO like thousands of US dollars per month, the worst thing you can do is rush with a update of multi-language that will ruin all your efforts and burn out your clients' investments and your reputation as well, if you were the person or like the team who in charge of SEO changes. Yeah, so I was thinking it will be a quick 5-minute video from me this Friday, but it's 18 minutes so far, and thanks a lot for everybody who watched this video to this point. It was Vitaly from Code Libre, and see you next Friday. Bye-bye.